problem is I don't think we have the facilities and the capabilities to meet the demand that we face every week, which is numerous calls, at least one call a day, to me personally, and usually a couple. And we don't have the ability to personnel and the resources to handle those calls.
Personnel and resources. Okay, so personnel meaning that you need an officer in addition to Ms. Mallow?
Yes.
And resources meaning that you don't believe Ms. Mallow's facility is sufficient to take care of what you believe the need is?
For the problems that we're dealing with, yes. And considering what we're getting ready to go into with fall and winter, I think if we do what we're supposed to be doing, we're going to be overrun.
Are the calls humane or stray?
Both. Again, additional dog bite calls, humane calls of starving dogs and starving livestock, and then stray. Example, last night, there were two dogs last night. I couldn't put them in the back of the jail here, so.
Were they strays or humane?
Just run strays.
Strays.
Just running.
No, see, I never got a call on them.
No.
You know, and like I say, I've got a truckload to pick up today. I mean, I picked the truckload up Monday.
May I just say something, please? You know, Sandy has been doing this for, you know, several years, including the humane officer position, as you all know. And with all due respect, Mr. Jonice, you know, she has done her very best, you know, and she has done it by herself. I mean, she has taken all the calls, and, you know, she has went and done what she possibly can, which, you know, whether it be going, you know, to one side of the county and then to the opposite side all in one day, she's done it. And, you know, she has done it by herself, and she has never, you know, she's never had to basically go, you know, to the newspaper and say that, you know, that she's needed, you know, for people to bear with her, that she needs the help. But so what I'm pointing out here is that you, in just a few weeks that you have already taken over that position, you see the difficulty in that job, doing it by yourself. And so, you know, it would really be great for Sandy to be able to somehow have a little bit more assistance regarding this type of situation, because she is one person. And I would like to also point out that, you know, she has honestly saved the county a lot of money, and the way I say this is for a few reasons. One, you all have never had to purchase a piece of property for a shelter, you know, as of date for, you know, what, 13 years.
Actually, the 19th of this month will be 14 years.
You've never had, you know, she doesn't come to you all and beg you all for money to help pay for vetting on the dogs that she has to take in. And, you know, when she takes them in, you know, although there is like a holding time, you know, a holding period that she has to keep them, you know, she still, you know, she vets them, you know, herself. She doesn't come to you all, you know, because a dog's suffering and says, you know, I have a holding period, I've got to vet the dog, you know, and such. And, you know, and the vets, on top of things, you know, she actually works with Sandy a great deal, because she commends Sandy for her efforts and has stated numerous times that Sandy has went, you know, way beyond her call of duty as an animal control officer by doing what she has done. And I do have these papers that I have written up. I don't have enough copies because I didn't know, but I have enough for you three. If I could give them to you. And, you know, you all can go over them. It's quite lengthy. But it actually goes over, you're welcome, it actually goes over quite a few aspects of what Sandy does, you know, for the county. And I say this because, you know, she has not, I mean, as an animal control officer, you know, it's not, and a humane officer too, when she was that, it's not just the point that, you know, you just go and you just take animals. You know, it's a matter, this job, you have to have compassion, not just for the animals, but for the people as well that are involved. Miss Perrine over there was petrified. I mean, her dog had a litter of puppies. It was a plot, not the little one there. It was a plot. It was a second litter. Somebody went and stole the litter of puppies. She was petrified because they actually stole one that her son was keeping. This lady, and I'm in no way trying to, you know, be rude about her, but she was very uneducated on the fact that, of how to care for her dog. She did not know rabies was, required by law, the rabies shot. She thought beagles were rare, and everybody knows a beagle is one of the, the biggest breeds there is out there. So I had explained to her that there are hundreds and thousands of them every day in shelters trying to find homes, and she finally understood that point. And then whenever I told her about, the spaying and neutering part, she got upset because she thought that the dog could die from spaying. She did not, see, I'm saying, the county, believe it or not, there are people out there that really do not understand. They need educated. The number one thing that, we need to do, because there's a lot of adults now, and we spoke about this last time I was in the meeting about the education part. We need to start implementing a program within the schools for, teaching about how to care for animals properly and how to treat them, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying that this is going to be the answer for everything, but the adults, a lot of them have already been set in their ways, so it's going to start with the children. And we need to start as young as possible, go from the elementary schools this year to the high school, to go to all of them and set up a program, because, there's just, we need to get like 4-H'ers involved, Girl Scouts involved, where they can pick, like say a weekend out of the school year or something to go up and assist and see how these dogs live when they're not taken care of, and to see this is what happens when spay and neutering is not, instilled into them as young children, and to also mention that with statistics, there are serial killers, and I know this is going to sound a little off to you all today, but it is a proven fact that most serial killers and serial rapists started out first torturing animals. There is a list on this page 3 that I give to you all for examples, which also include young children and what they have done. And so this is what I'm saying, it goes together, domestic violence and animal abuse and animal care and neglect, it's all kind of like in one thing. Like Ted Bundy, you see there, he was convicted of 2 murders, but he watched his own father torture animals. Jeffrey Dahmer, well, we know what he did, he was a serious individual, and he would actually just dismember animals, and he thought it was fun. And then you've got kids that are like 8 years old killing people,